Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly for pricing. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing a watch launched in 1993, the Omega Seamaster Diver 300-meter chronograph from the first era of James Bond Omega Seamasters. We have many of the features that Pierce Brosnan made famous, but in a more complicated package that gives you the stopwatch functionality. The timepiece is 41.5 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel, measures 16.2 millimeters thick from lug to lug. It's 49 millimeters. If we include the beefy end links, this bracelet, then it is 54.3 millimeters across the wrist with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Open it up, we'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see that it wears reasonably on a wrist of my size, though I'd say 15 centimeters circumference is probably the smallest wrist that could wear this watch well. On my wrist, it looks fantastic, honestly. I love the feel of it, the fit of it, the solidity of it. Rest assured that no Rolex made in the 1990s felt as solid and all of a piece as this machine right here. This is the bracelet and clasp combination that forced Rolex to reconsider its Oyster bracelets and Oyster clasps, going all solid and thick gauge in the 2000s because of this guy right here. So, as you can see, this is a man's watch. It's not really going to fit on a smaller wrist. 15 centimeters circumference is the smallest size. And that is fairly thick, but you can see it probably would fit underneath my dress shirt here. So consider it jackets for sure. It'll fit underneath some shirt cuffs. Now, taking a look at the bracelet, one of the quirks of this era of Seamaster is that the bracelet, with multiple links, polished intermediates, and a little bit of a sloped shoulder, it has the look of a dress bracelet, but it has the solidity of a sports bracelet. It's kind of the best of both worlds, giving it a versatility appropriate for a man who orders his martinis shaken, not stirred, and alternates between frogman gear and tuxedos. So this watch is versatile in that regard. And you can see back in the 90s, pin sleeves were the rule with Omega bracelets, and you would have had pin sleeves to hold the removable links in place. So we'd use a block and a punch if you want to size this. Block and punch, and you can size it easy. The clasp, thick gauge, twin trigger release. You can see that the engraving is still deep and sharp, so this watch has been minimally, if ever, refinished. The gauge is very thick. It closes with a snick. The dive extension opens with a snap, and you can see that it's all milled out from the solid, so it is very solid. Even this small component, remember, the fold-out on a 90s Rolex Sea Dweller or Submariner clasp felt like a piece of tinfoil compared to this. This still feels luxury even in 2021. Now, taking a quick look at the case, it's familiar to Seamaster and Speedmaster fans dating back to the early 60s. Double beveled lyre-style lugs, an expanding bevel at the edge of the lugs, polished bevel flank, satinated midcase, helium escape valve for saturation divers. If helium gets into the watch, make sure you open it before you dive, because this version required you to open it pre-dive, but it will let the helium out as you ascend. Now we have a bezel with a blue anodized aluminum insert. Let's hear it. Although the knurling is somewhat shallow and needs to be set before your hands are wet or gloved, the click is sharp. We have 120 click precision, so you can always line up the luminescent pearl with the skeletonized James Bond style minute hand. These are sometimes called the Bond style hands because they are skeletal and spare. And again, Brosnan himself wore the watch like this with those skeletal hands. The dial is well loomed, including chronograph seconds. And then you can see the much-loved Omega Wave on the dial base. Each of the sub-registers has a polished chaptering, which is a nice upscale look. And you'll appreciate the fact that we have a combination here of white, dark blue, and a few lustrous red hashes to give you a sense of fun. Sports watches should be fun, and colors are fun, and this watch has them. You can see the hippocampus or seahorse on the back, along with a recapitulation of that Omega Wave logo. And then inside the case, we have a movement Omega calls 1164. I call it a Valjoux 7750. Now, the Omega version has 2 extra hours of power reserve, 44 instead of 42. But in other words, it's a 7750 with just those 2 hours of additional power reserve. This is automatic winding with unidirectional action. It uses a cam and a lateral clutch for chronograph operation. It has hacking seconds and a quick set date. It pivots on 25 joules. It beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour. It is water resistant down to 300 meters thanks to the case. And of course, it is adjusted in 5 positions and a COSC certified Swiss chronometer. So it is a very tough, accurate, universally serviceable, and enduring movement. Truly, the 7750 is the Chevy small block of movements. It's in everything from haute horlogerie to Swiss Army, and this is definitely towards the higher end of the spectrum as chronometer spec, which is also aesthetically customized for Omega. This is toward the top of the heap in 7750s. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And take note, one last feature, what appear to be screw-down chronograph pushers are in fact just shouldered. You can operate it without screwing out or screwing down any of the crowns.